small cabal of MPs, including at least one shadow minister, had been spotted picking up late-night trade. But Dunkley, like most in the press gallery, really didn't give a toss. Each to their own, mate. He'd told a member of the ALP dirt unit when he'd come knocking with salacious details. Now, in the early shadows of the day, nothing much stirred. Through a thin mist, a four-man rowing crew was slicing across the lake, their oars in rhythmic harmony. Further across the water, somewhere near the imperious High Court, several hot air balloons climbed in a languid arc. Dunkley slowed the Land Cruiser to a crawl. The instructions had been specific. Drive past the timber toilet block to a small clearing near the lake's fringe. Be there at 6:45 a.m. But whom was he meeting? Unusually for Dunkley, he was on time. In fact, he was a few minutes early. He stepped out of the car's warmth, stamping his feet on the frosted ground. Suddenly, he heard the thud of a car door, maybe 50 metres away on the other side of a grove of eucalyptus near the shoreline. He walked in the direction of the sound, steady, not too fast. Through the trees, he caught sight of a late-model dark-coloured European sedan. A Mercedes, he guessed. It reversed and then accelerated down a dirt track in the direction of Lady Denman. "What the—" Dunkley muttered, scrambling towards the departing vehicle, wondering whether he'd been tricked. He managed to glimpse its rear number plate, blue, with a distinctive DC stamp. A member of the diplomatic corps. Close to the point the vehicle had driven off from, propped up on a picnic table so he could not miss it, was an A3-sized manila envelope. It bore a single, ironic marking. Embassy of Taiwan. From a distance, it appeared to be a fast-moving caterpillar, strung out for 50 metres or so, all blinking lights and lycra. Canberra's notorious early-morning cyclists were well versed in the art of riding two abreast and getting right up the noses of motorists. Dunkley eased off the throttle, uncertain about overtaking, even though the road was near empty. "Come on, boys, get a move on." He cast a sideways glance at the A3 envelope, anxious to prise open its secrets. He was 5 minutes from a cheerful joint in Yarralumla that served a decent latte and Spanish omelette. Most importantly, at this time of day, the cafe would be near deserted, perhaps hosting just a few hardy souls who'd ventured out to pick up the papers or get an early gym fix. Pulling into the car park, Dunkley could see a waitress setting up outside tables. Surely you jest, he thought. Ensconcing himself inside near the window, he unwrapped one of the morning papers he'd brought with him, glancing at its headlines until his coffee arrived, and he was sure it was safe to turn to the business at hand without interruption. His fingers stopped drumming the table and eagerly opened the envelope. 3 faces stared at him in glossy black and white. 2 were Asian. Chinese, he guessed, given the Mao caps. And the other belonged to a Caucasian man in his early 20s with long sideburns and thick, wavy hair. From the generous lapels on the man's open-necked shirt, Dunkley reckoned the photo dated back to the late 1970s. Despite the passage of time, there was no mistaking that face with its trademark toothy smirk. Bruce Leonard Paxton. Dunkley took a swig of his double-shot latte and turned the photo over, seeking confirmation. There was none. But he was sure the young face gazing up at him belonged to the man who had improbably risen through the Labor ranks to be crowned Minister for Defence. A former poster boy for one of Australia's biggest blue-collar unions, the Construction, Forestry, Mining and Energy Union, Paxton was in his mid-50s and had been the member for Brand, a Labor seat on Perth's southern flank for the past 15 years. It wasn't listed on his CV, but he was also the least educated person ever to have been sworn in as the Minister for Australia's proud Defence Services. The appointment had brought jeers from the opposition, and with some justification. Paxton was the epitome of the Labor career man, a former union heavy who had been a fearsome figure in the Wild West, cutting his teeth as a paid thug with the notorious Building Workers Industrial Union. He had left school at 15, the moment he was legal, and through a family contact landed a job almost immediately in the building sites around Perth, shoveling sand and shit and learning to talk fast. After a few years labouring and doing